Chapter 4, Understanding Diversity. Diversity refers to individual differences on a number of variables that place clients at risk for discrimination. There is an urgent need for helpers to develop cultural competence. We will talk more about ways to become aware of your own biases, values, and attitudes at the end of this chapter. If you continue to pursue education in a human services field, you may be required to take a full course on multicultural issues. At Cuesta, we incorporate this topic in just about every course you will take in the human services. Multicultural competency, multicultural counseling is defined as the working alliance between the counselor and the client that takes the personal dynamics of the counselor and the client into consideration alongside the dynamics of culture of both of these individuals. Culture then includes differences in gender, age, religion, economic status, nationality, physical capacity or disability, and affectional or sexual orientations. So be sure to know these definitions. Ethnographic variables are such nationality, ethnicity, language, and religion. Demographic variables include things such as age, gender, place of residence, geographic location. Status variables include things such as education and socioeconomic and backgrounds. There's some more definitions on this slide to be aware of. Microaggressions. Microaggressions are brief, commonplace, sometimes daily, verbal, behavioral, or environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative cultural slights and insults. Broaching behavior is openly discussing with a consistent, ongoing attitude of acceptance to invite the client to explore issues of diversity. Broaching behavior on behalf of the counselor can be instrumental in establishing a therapeutic working relationship. More definitions on this page include encapsulation. Encapsulation refers to helpers who don't have broad experience with a wide variety of different people or different situations. Taking a look at understanding people with disabilities, there are different types of disabilities. People with chronic medical conditions, people with chronic physical conditions, people with articulation, speech, or communication difficulties, people with intellectual or mental conditions. There are people who have disabilities since birth, some people with permanent conditions, and some people perhaps with temporary conditions. Persons with disabilities are the most disenfranchised group in almost every society. The psychosocial stressors create more major impediments in living with a disability than even the physical barriers that exist. The best way to serve people with disabilities is to remember that in fact we live in an interdependent world. An interdependent world where we all need assistance at different times from various people or organizations and institutions throughout our lifetime. The best way to serve people with disabilities is to actively listen to what the client is presenting as their concern, because in fact it could have little to do with the disability. Remember that the client drives the conversation, the goals, and the resources needed. The best way to serve people with disabilities is to remember a strength-based approach. In your textbook, beginning on page 122, there are checklists of beliefs and attitudes of culturally skilled helpers. Here are a few of those. On page 123, these are the areas of knowledge of culturally skilled helpers. And again, here are just a few of those from the checklist. On page 124 are the skills and intervention strategies of culturally skilled helpers. And again, here are 3 of the competencies from the checklist on page 124. Social justice competencies. Your discussion forum for Chapter 4 will be concerning the social justice competencies. In the Files menu on the left, you will find the document for multicultural competencies and social justice competencies. And your discussion forum, this chapter, will be taken from that information. So you will have additional reading to look at the social justice competencies. And here are a few more of the social justice competencies that can be addressed in your discussion forum posting. Remember, the posting is 350 words minimum, and you will comment on at least 2 other students. Chapter 4, what are the next steps? To learn more about multicultural competencies and social justice competencies, some of the next steps are to use the websites, textbooks, and other educational forums, trainings, workshops, that kind of thing, to learn about different cultures. Another idea is to join or interview different types of student organizations to learn more. So maybe you want to learn more about the Disabled Students Association and what type of services and are available. Go to cultural plays, restaurants, concerts, and community events to expand your worldview about different ethnicities, perhaps. You could also interview family members or other people that you know from other countries or those with disabilities. Anything that you can do to expand your awareness and knowledge of others, especially those with a myriad of problems, will be helpful in your development as a human services worker.